dissing. I think it's dissing. So I fucked up and the laptop died. Uh, so I'm still gonna include the camera audio, but I don't say you haven't been warned. Don't say you haven't been warned. Okay. Uh, Apologies. I love you. Thank you.
He's doing good. He just turned 30.
Clipper.
Yeah, when there's an option to get one of these, it took me forever to find out that you could take.
Yeah,
the
you
part
can take
out.
the part out. I know. Someone showed me that a few years ago. I was
That's
like, "You're
crazy.
kidding!" Like this whole time.
Life change. Whole life change.
Yeah, so we come out of the connection. It's like 2 or 3 in the morning, and we had to get to, because we're switching airlines, and we had to get to another terminal.
Mhm.
And usually, like when you get on the trolley or like the little shuttle or whatever,
Right.
you just walk to the gate and that's it. And we got off the thing, and there was a different TSA for every single
that's
terminal,
crazy.
like 1 through 6. There was like 6 securities.
Wow.
So just to even
And where was this? At?
Tampa.
This was in.
Yeah, I know. Isn't that? I don't know if it's
That's
still like
crazy.
that or if it was just during that time, but that was like an added hour wait for everyone because it was just madness there. It was chaos.
Do
So,
you remember traveling before they had all that?
Yes.
It's like my.
I was gonna say, have you ever explained to him like what it used to be
No,
like? Like,
no.
yeah.
Just because like I don't think there'll ever be
Yeah.
a time where it'll
It's hard
be
to
that.
explain. Like, traveling just was very different when we were
Just get on the plane.
children.
Like your
yeah.
parents could walk you all the way
wait
up
to the gate. They
thing.
could wait for you. You could have
Yeah.
like people there. Like,
'Cause I used to fly by
at the
myself.
gate. Yeah.
I used to fly by myself.
It was a different thing. Pre 2001.
Yeah, that kind of changed everything.
Definitely. We started coming here and moved here like with my family like shortly after that. So, or I think we'd been here before it, but everything after that, airport wise, definitely was changing rapidly, like within that year. And I do remember the change because I've never not been flying my whole life. So.
Right. So you were out here when it happened.
Mm-hmm.
I was in school.
Yeah, I was in school too.
Yeah, I remember like it was on the TV.
It was just.
It's like we
surreal.
randomly
so
got
weird
to
even
watch
think
TV.
about it. I know, it's like that's the thing, and I was still learning so much about during that time, just everything. Like it was a 6 to a year month sort of catch up, not just on how to ingrain myself in the country, but everything that's happened up until now, and like what those towers are and what they meant, and all that stuff, and every building from and the Liberty Bell and DC and all this stuff. It was like it was a huge thing to try and like catch up with all of it, other than what I'd seen on movies or something that I did know, obviously. And love.
From that perspective of you like moving here and still being new to all that, do you feel you kind of just went along with whatever like people said? Well, these are the things that you should know. This is how people feel about these things, and then like, all right, we just just go for it with what they say is good about these things.
Completely. And I mean, we've known each other for a few years now. I'm capable of being outgoing, but I never felt like I had to be and needed to be for like survival wise until like all the pressures that you just talked about. And sort of like coming here as a teenager, you already have lived like a considerable bit of life, not a lot, but enough to where like you know what you love, you know what you're into, you know how you feel about just like your general peer and person. And it's very, like you said, it's very bizarre to overnight be in a situation now, and I'm sort of used to it because we did move around a lot. So it was always a different school and different culture, different friends, different country, different everything, all the time.
My mom had us moving.
Yeah, I know. I remember you telling me that, and it's like when you show up to something that's so magnified, you know, like the whole of the UK fits in Florida.
That's crazy.
America's big, and I couldn't even grasp the size of the land I was on when I arrived here.
It's a really large place. It's a large feeling place.
And every time we would go, like especially on tour, every night you're in a different state, right? And so I've been touring more or less full time since I was 15, 16 years old. And you're just around, again, so much people who all feel considerably extremely different ways. And then, like you said, everyone that you're around sort of like requires you to sort of be into whatever they're all into.
Yeah, being on tour is definitely like it gives you this really weird perspective that like you don't get in a lot of other situations. It's just like after a certain point, it's just like people start to morph into this.
Yeah, it's mad watching your friends change right in front of your eyes. They don't prepare you for that one.
Yeah, it's weird. You're constantly seeing new people. Like you can't really like make an attachment to these people, but then you have to like come across as
you see each other like every day, right? And you go on this like around the thing and this whole like carnival sort of, and then you don't see each other again for maybe like 9 months or a year and a half, and then there's a festival or something, and then it's like you all reunion day, like yearbook picture day sort of thing, and it's like
it's weird. At that point, does it start to feel like a job? Because it's like, all right, we're getting together to.
I don't know about. That's a really good question. It's never felt like a job to me, because I've had so many other jobs over the years that, you know, again, we're just purely based on like the need and the now and the like the one sort of day to the next thing, and like that was work even if I knew what I was doing, because it's not this. So
absolutely.
That is like always very much like in front of me, inches from my face, my sort of awareness of am I working right now or not, and the longer I've like committed myself fully to this thing, like the harder it's even been to do anything that's not that after a while. I mean, even just like, you know, social situations and stuff, anything.
You get comfortable, and then like the way you choose to express yourself and the methods of dealing with situations, because it's kind of not similar for me, but like I need to make music to stay sane.
And I didn't realize how much it was a coping method for me. Especially probably like you from a youth, like I'm sure a lot of people listening right now were, you know, notebook doodlers, and that wasn't just as a means of like, I wouldn't call it boredom, but it gets called that and looked at that by your admins and your superiors that time.
I agree. It's not that.
But it's not that.
It's the way your brain maps out the information you're taking in.
Definitely, and I wish I sort of still did that more, because like then there wasn't time to do it, but there was sort of time to do it, you know. It's again, it's just how I was sort of like getting by, but then that transitioned fully obviously into the music thing in time, and I didn't realize that it was so much like the same until you sort of said it and asked it like that. I mean, it's coping for sure. I need to do it. I could not do it, you know. I'm sure like you know, you pull songs out of dreams sometimes, and you never know when something is just going to hit you in completion, lyrics, melody, key, everything. And you can hear the production. And even if the amazing, well-decorated, highly acclaimed person you're doing all that stuff with has the ability to create it with you, doesn't mean that they are. Right. It comes like a bolt. Understand that. Yeah. It's very hard to explain that on any level, even to like the greatest, you know?
You can't teach creativity, and you can't like explain a concept through anything but sound.
Completely.
For me, I kind of look at music as like I never really run out of ideas.
Yeah.
Because like it's just storytelling. Like you're living, you have stories. Just tell a story, and then you tell a story with sound, and then you tell a story with words. And it's like, if it's cool, release it. If it's not cool, throw it away.
It's like treadmill, you know. It's time on the machine, and it's like, if I'm sitting down with the purpose to, or needing to, or being asked to, or being stuck on a deadline too. Like all those conditions and things. Again, yeah, it's like, yeah, maybe we all can sort of like walk in a bit, you know, at least just be like on the field comfortably. But there's no denying the difference of when it strikes and you're not expecting it in the shower or the car or the
you can't control
bank or wherever. Like, and that is again like that vision. You see it in completion, like a finished statue, and it's very hard to convey that unless you yourself know how to make it. And
do you use voice memos?
Not as much as I used to, but now I
definitely fell into like
most of my life is on there for sure. I got an early adopter of that.
I definitely got like hundreds of like unused ideas.
Do you remember the other one they had for a time that was called like chords or music memos or something, and it stacked the songs in there, but you could add the bass or the drums. Like,
I remember they announced
and they're like it's done, but it was like it had a tuner in there, and you could write a memo like you always would, but then it gave you all this extra stuff afterwards.
I remember something.
And the
about
chords,
that.
like it would tell you, so you could just sit there and play with the guitar all day. And like
I hate when they cancel great ideas.
Yeah, bring that back up, Will.
You know,
please
rewind.
A lot of good technology we lost over the years, though.
Yeah.
A lot of good stuff.
You know, but then they like create business opportunities. You create situations for people to need things.
Yeah.
You know, like you take away a few ports.
Yeah.
You know, like,
oh my god. Yeah, that was 12 years in the wrong direction.
Right, you take away like the disk drive right when everybody needs it. All this stuff, and then you bring them back. And then
I never stopped using the CDs, whether the products were taking them or not. And like my car won't let me plug in with a like a Bluetooth or a hijack or a tape. Like, so I got CDs and I got FM and AM.
There's something special about playing a CD, like putting in a CD.
Yeah, definitely.
Even though like they suck in terms of like durability.
Yeah, they scratch as soon as you take it out of the thing. Like it's like one time in your glove box, it's done.
What do you think the next physical medium of music will be? Do you think
vinyl?
You think we're just gonna go back and then loop back over?
I do see like on YouTube a lot the guys just a bit older than us who've got a little bit more dosh on the side to be eBaying the stuff that's probably on our wish list a bit, and you know they've got a closet full of 8 tracks and the laser discs and 7 different sorts of like players and stuff.
Yeah, man. In school,
I've been wanting that my whole life, and I still want one today.
Those things are huge.
It's all going up now.
I figured. Like, what do you even watch? I've only watched PowerPoints on Laserdisc.
Yeah.
there's music on Laserdisc.
Yeah. My cousin had all the albums back then. Like, so like what the height of the Laserdisc was like those albums were. It's like Chocolate Starfish, Marshall Mathers LP,
on Laserdisc.
Yeah. Like I mean, because you could sort of burn it on before burning CDs was doing it. They were like,
did it come with
live? It was like a tape
videos
player
and stuff too?
I'd never seen the video ones, but I've seen the big like Laserdisc videos like that. Like like in Malaysia, like the night market, like that was all that stuff.
Different countries stick with other mediums longer. I really liked mini disc a lot. That was my favorite.
Mini disc. That was that's the one I'm thinking of with the songs. Then
that was my favorite one because you could swap.
That's what I'm wanting to have now.
Yeah.
I want that like handheld like Sony one.
There's a company that's like you can still release albums on mini disc.
Wow.
Like I mean technically they're just buying. I wanted to. I didn't do it yet.
I want to do that too.
Who you wouldn't really be able to play it.
There's like 20 dedicated people that would find a way, you know?
Yeah.
That's not a bad thing to me by any means, but I know what you mean. It's
I was considering just getting like 1 or 2, like just for like personal.
I'd love to have it, even if I'm only one of the only people
for sure.
That can
when I do it, I'll get you one. I'll make a specific album for that I won't release on other stuff.
Please do, man. It does sound optically better.
Like, and it's just
phenomenal.
Cool. Cool looking.
Yeah, it's the perfect size. That is a mini vinyl. Probably the closest thing. I mean, I love the experience of listening to vinyl so much, regardless of being able to make it.
I've never owned like a player, like a vinyl player.
It's an instrument for you, man. I mean, you gotta get it for yourself.
Every time I've used one, like it's been fun. Like
in the studio and stuff.
Play around with like playing stuff back.
Your parents were not playing vinyl in the house, or your
Nah.
grandparents weren't playing vinyl in the house?
There's one in my grandma's house. But,
Yeah.
like it's like in the corner.
Yeah.
Like no one uses it.
She got a collection though. She got some.
She
stuff.
got like.
That's
you know,
enough.
she got a lot of singles. The smaller ones. Are the,
Yeah. Oh,
what
like
are
the
those
7s
called?
and the 10s.
Yeah,
and stuff.
she got a lot of
Yeah.
those.
Yeah, I got a few of those. Not as many as I'd like, but
They
those
definitely
ones
look
are
cool.
Yeah, they do. I mean, again, we should try and make one of those because it's only a few songs, but it's just that's sort of the pain of it right now is that vinyl was already a 6-month endeavor, 8
Mhm.
months when certain times of the
Yeah.
year were happening, record store
This
day,
really
all that
messed
shit.
up the time.
Yeah, I mean, what are we
for
like a
that.
year and a half, 2 years back
Yeah.
now for everyone? Like
The-
no matter who you are. It's-
This Wilma Vreetra album is like a whole year.
When did you
behind.
guys apply for it?
I
Like,
don't-
when
I-
did you? Do you know like when they started at least like trying to create lathes and like?
I don't
begin?
even know, but like it was like scheduled to release last year, like
Yeah.
last summer, so probably
Yeah.
before that. In terms of for it to be like ready to be released in the summer,
Like you
know,
guys already have
like,
probably another album by now to drop, and like it takes so long in between now.
yeah,
You're like
it's-
waiting,
It's crazy.
always waiting a release back. Yeah, I mean, as long as this isn't a permanent thing, I don't mind that as such. I mean, definitely, I guess that's sort of add to the allure of collecting, buying, listening, creating that way. But man, I mean, 2 years after something's already been released, I don't think
Yeah.
people would wait that long for a Blu-ray, you know, or like
Right,
Tenet
yeah.
or something. Like,
Yeah,
you know, even when you
that's
push back a thing a year, you're gonna have it after that, right?
right, but that's
it's-
why we like didn't release it.
Yeah.
And so like
Yeah.
you know to sync it up and everything.
Are you a
But,
big fan of his? Insomnia, Prestige, Memento, the Batman trilogy, Interstellar.
I've seen
Inception.
Interstellar. I've seen Inception. I'm not a super movie guy.
That's crazy to me listening to all your music. How
I,
are you
I
not a
watch
super
movies
movie guy?
and I think about stuff.
Yeah, definitely. I was gonna say there's like a lot
That's
of
about it.
allegory and things in your lyrics. Like I'm shocked that you're not like a.
But like
huge
I
film
don't
guy.
really got like a top 10 of movies.
I would love to know what yours are if you do have one at some point.
Like you ever seen this movie called? It's like the first something million, or it was like a number is always the hardest, and it's about this like tech company that creates this hologram computer,
No, it sounds amazing.
and Rosario Dawson's in it.
She's amazing.
Yeah, she's beautiful.
Is it from the 90s?
I think so.
Yeah.
That
Sounds like
a
something that
great
was getting
movie.
bought and written at that time, and like
something like that.
yeah. I'd never seen that movie
It's cool,
Equilibrium
man.
before. Started
I've
watching
heard
that
about
last
that.
night. I'd never heard of it till like this week. I was like, how all these people in this film, and it's obviously just. I mean, maybe The Matrix was bigger, I
Yeah.
guess, or something. This sounds like one I gotta.
I'm gonna check it
hop
out.
on.
If you could find it, it's hard to find
Yeah.
stuff.
Well, and that's the other thing. That's why I feel like
Everything's
physical
owned by
media is so
different-
expensive now because
Oh yeah,
even a DVD is $80 on eBay.
if they even decide to release a physical
Right.
version.
Like, some of this stuff will never get pressed again,
Mhm.
ever. It's like they're all becoming gold, like, and this, you know, minerals, like
Yeah.
sort of like lost relics in the
Right.
video game, you know, and you can
that-
treasure
that's-
hunt.
That's kind of what I meant by like vinyl. A lot of us like in music,
Yeah.
but do you think that there'll ever be like another medium that like, since everything is so
Yeah.
digital now, that like commercially that people switch to like, oh, you can take this. This is the
I've
thing
been
that
wondering.
people-
I've been wondering.
like how
Are
do
you
you
familiar with the kids that are getting in trouble in school for putting the headphones in and listening to the audio drugs?
that happens?
Yeah.
I've heard
Yeah,
I've heard
yeah.
about like
They're just sort of
yeah.
like drone tracks, you know?
Mhm.
Like, I'm not sure what specifically makes someone get to a point of hallucinating from that, but I guess, you know, audio, you know, can
right.
do
I mean,
some crazy things.
the way I see it, like we're all like frequencies, right? Like
Definitely.
we vibrate at a certain frequency. I mean, and like
some of us are more sensitive than
Right.
others.
but then that would also mean that like everything that we perceive is
Yeah.
a variation of a vibration, and that any of our perceptions could be altered by you know,
Yeah.
adding in another vibration. So
Yeah.
I'm sure that there's a frequency that can click something in your brain that makes
it
you
seems like they're got a plug-in version of it somewhere in the clubs, and they're putting it in certain songs, because like some songs just like take over your body, man, and it's not just because the chords and the lyrics and the recording's amazing. Like some things penetrate you in a way that is like hard to describe, and you don't think audio could do that, and it does somehow.
I definitely think audio is more important and like could be more dangerous than we realized.
It's your first sense, right? Is it?
Could be.
Yeah, right. Back to it. I'd love to know the answer to that question. It's definitely one of them, right? Yeah. And you just got so much time seeing the world audio only. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know.
And you perceive a lot, like very different, like, you know, through that realm. But
music sort of gives you the code book to how to hear what's you're hearing, I guess, sort of, and separate it.
Yeah, you know, and then like listening to a song could change how you feel, could change your mood. It's kind of like programming, like self-programming. I figure if somebody could intentionally harness that,
definitely,
then of course you can kind of make people
fight
do
wars
things
with it, right? With like trumpets the size of walls and stuff, and sonically that was enough to like
sound does a lot,
destroy people, like blow their heads off. Probably
sound does a lot. Certain frequencies, like you know, like all the research and the like. I'm trying to figure out how to like phrase this, because like I feel like you could make a sound gun, like you can make a weapon.
Oh no, they had them in Spencer's Gifts. Yeah, they remember you like popped it back and it hit you with like the air. Like.
But take that concept and like you know, add years of scientists trying to figure out stuff. I figure
like the Men in Black version, like sort of just like that's a little thing that's like rapidly powerful.
You take the initial thought and then you could.
I feel like they have them. You know?
I feel like
we've probably had them for a while, because you know, the gun's like a very old patent, and we're all still selling and using and fighting wars with like 150-year-old designs, and like what else are we doing that with? Besides chairs, maybe. We out here technology.
They've
probably made a lot of crazy shit by now.
Yeah,
like you're saying, just like sonic. Guns,
it just makes sense. Yeah, you know, like why would you, like, if you can, with every simple basic thing, somebody is gonna take that and like, okay, how do we isolate this part of it and figure out how to get you know, like people have done it with drugs, people have done it
with light bulbs, everything. You know, they've done it with the kitchen knife, man.
Exactly.
Everything's just had, like you said, just like
it's gonna keep getting refined,
trying to
refined,
like sort of figure out another way to flip it.
Right. With food, one, like you go from all the cooking and everything to eventually like you snap your fingers and then there's the meal that you want. At some point it'll be that, even if we choose not to have it that, you know,
it's happening no matter what. It's
everything's
no matter
gonna progress.
I mean, what do you think the next medium or format is going to be then? Like, what's the next invention besides, you know, obviously we're in the surround Atmos world now and the VR world, and whether that kicks off or not, we've done it. So what is next? Is this going to lead? It's going to lead us to something.
I feel like it's just going to lead us to more digital things.
Yeah.
I feel like there'll be digital things that are tied to physical things. And maybe people will start, like, you buy an album and then you scan, like, a barcode and you get a free NFT for it. And that's the only way to get that.
Yeah.
You know, then that's
there's
tied to a
value
project.
Always to the thing.
Yeah, I think, like, once we get to that point, then maybe people will start buying more. Like, maybe that'll be more common. Then it's like, all right, I'm going to go buy more products, because then I can use that. I can use that with my avatar, you know, on, you know, then it'll be cool.
Yeah. I want it to all coexist.
I
want it all. I've never sort of not wanted it all. I was into CDs before and after. You know, and everything else. And the thing I had the most as a kid was the cassette, like, Walkman thing. Like, and you jam your finger in it and you could sort of feel the magnet, you know, like, and that sensation is still addictive to me, if that's the word. Like, I love being an early adopter of all these technologies.
Yeah, same.
I want to be able to hang on to like this stuff a bit.
Yeah, even though like certain things become like a novelty after like there were points in time where people had like huge lava lamps. Like, this is the future. The biggest one. This is so cool. Wax.
Many of them.
But like, you know, now it's a little. You get it's groovy.
Yeah.
So they like boil all the image down of a whole like era into lava lamp, groovy.
Yeah, that is definitely something that bothers me though, of like how we are always narrowing down every measurable decade or 10-year slot chunk of time to like these 20 things, and it's like, man, a lot of stuff was happening around that time. You know, it's like, this isn't all of it.
I really hate that happens, but I do feel like people feel like they need to be told these things, because it's like, all right, well, what did I like when I was younger? Yeah. And it's like, you know, like, all right, like how I need to, I don't remember what I like.
Yeah. But it's like program nostalgia then. It's not real, like, feeling. It's like serialized feeling. Like, I have an issue with that. I've always had a problem with that, probably long enough before I realized it bothered me.
Almost everything that we perceive is like planned
heavily in advance, because it takes so long to manufacture, right? So even when we were kids and our parents' generation and stuff were kids, everyone's working with the factory a year before it goes to the street. Right. So, you know, do the math on that one from the house goods and our foods just change so much every 5 years. And even if you sort of find a diet and products that are working for you, they're not going to be around. Yeah, in no time at all, or someone's gonna buy them and change everything about it. Right, and
then the badge or whatever they place on seal, it, you can weasel your way through a lot of stuff.
So it becomes more of a club after that, doesn't it? Yeah. It's like you're really just sort of an ambassador for that look.
But then the people at the bottom of the regular, not the people at the bottom, but like regular people are like buying these products, and it's like, oh, I'm supporting this. Yeah, I'm doing this, and like you don't know that the same people.
They're loyalists a little longer.
Right. And they're telling you that it's two opposite industries, and they're telling you these opposite things, and like controlling the narrative both ways.
100%.
Which is crazy, but like, you're taught that in like marketing classes and stuff, which is really strange now.
When does all that start here in the States? Like when like, how old are you before they sort of introduce these next, like the second world concepts? Like
like, you mean like the other, like the additional comforts?
Yeah, well, like you said, it's like, what age are you here when they start being like, all right, you're in marketing now, like, open your minds up to this endeavor, sort of thing, this possibility, or that people do this. Yeah, this is used on you.
I feel like it was only like people that went to like college and stuff before, and this was like a private, like, oh, we're manipulating people, and like I feel like marketing is just like manipulation for gain.
For sure.
That's all it is, for better or for worse. There's nothing wrong with manipulate. Right. There's nothing wrong with manipulation in some cases. You know, some things, narratives need to be made at times to achieve certain things. Not to excuse any of that.
Yeah. No, I'm like you said. I mean, it can be really helpful if it's positive.
Right.
And no one's getting harmed, obviously.
Obviously, but then it all depends on the perspective of the person.
Yeah, I think everything beyond that is probably terrible.
Because it's like, for the goal, what is an acceptable amount of risk? What is an acceptable amount of harm?
Yeah, and what's the percentage achievement that we're trying to get on this round of marketing? Right. However long this cycle is going to be. Mm-hmm. You know, some people are highly motivated. They'll do a lot these days for 2% change, you know, and that doesn't seem like a success, but to some that could be massive if there's enough money involved.
It's numbers on a scoreboard. That's all. It's a game.
Yeah, and if you're in a certain genre of a certain game, that is
and it's a really silly game. Yeah, you know, but like
they do seem to care a lot about it though.
Right.
It's like
it's kind of funny to me. Like we've accepted like the reality of like being controlled by different algorithms, and it's like instead of you know, it's just like, all right, how do we make it work?
Oh, we've definitely accepted it now.
Instead of like, all right, well, how do we get this adjusted? How do we it's like, all right, how do we fit in? How do we make it work? How do we abide to this? How do we obey these rules?
It does terrify me.
Yeah, everything is slowly being monopolized under like these houses of control.
Do you feel that people are more often than not accepting of that change?
I feel like people are, because they're like there's all this propaganda and stuff that goes with everything
to
right?
make it seem like it's positive
right.
and helpful.
Think about it. They completely sold everyone on Facebook, even though everyone hates Facebook, because every business needs Facebook.
Yeah. And everything else they've had.
And
they
then
own
you need a Facebook account to interact with anything Facebook based.
Yeah.
So
it's bizarre, man. I don't understand why the least social guy at the college and the high school wanted to own the biggest phone book. Like, why? How does that dream become a reality? I don't get it.
It's not about that.
Yeah, well, clearly it's not. Obviously,
it's
it's about a lot of other things, huh?
Right. I mean, and I'm not him. I'm not the people like making those choices. But you know, you would have to understand. When to me, when there's an idea, you kind of see at scale, like, okay, this can happen. Yeah. This can even like at the smallest scale, like if it's like even like if you give people, like, you make an app that gives people two choices. Yeah. Right. With no question. Now there's just, oh, it's fun, yes or no. Then you add a question. Now you got to worry about how people feel. Yeah. And then there'll be people that pick sides. And then the further you get into these questions, and now people might pick sides to the point of they start their own communities. And then there's a war between those mindsets.
And the percentage of data, whose group's bigger, who's larger.
All from option A or option B. Yeah. Which is so silly.
Yeah, it's not a smart way. I feel like ants would not survive in a colony trying to do things like that.
It's like we got stuck at the first step.
AOL, MySpace, we're kind of stuck at that level.
Like, we can't even get
But he got out. He was not social before, and he wasn't social after. And this guy's still got the buttons. Like,
hey, people figure out how to play the game.
But he's reading your DMs. And he's reading everybody else's, you know? And I've got to imagine, like, some powerful people out there probably DMing a lot of interesting things in the background, meeting each other.
The weird part about, like, how things have started to play out is, like, we've decided to build our worlds around these private platforms. Yeah. And then, like, we want them to keep making more, like, authoritative whatever word decisions. And it's like, well, the more decisions that you want people to make, it's like, all right.
It's a slippery slope, though. It's like we don't like or enjoy everything the government's doing. So an alternative party with potentially a lot of money and more power to some degree and more influence is wanting to supposedly help. And then it's like you never come back from that, do you? Once you again just start creating more different sides.
It's so weird, and like that's kind of why I've never seen why like there's no way of like seeing just people's opinions about this and then deciding what you think about the thing. Yeah. It's just like, okay, remove the thing if the main group of society thinks that it's not an acceptable thing.
It's got to be brochure form. It's got to be three pages or less.
And like how did we get to that?
I don't know. It seems like it started like over 100 years ago though. I mean, cuz if you weren't at the community meeting, you're now reading about it, right? Or you're hearing it from someone else.
So then like the majority of people don't even go to the community meeting.
No.
Even when there's the option to.
Yeah, no, they don't.
No one shows up.
Yeah.
And it's like people are always like, all right, we got to voice our opinion. And then when it comes down to be at the place at this time. This is when we're voting on the thing. No one's there.
Completely. And they're like, I'll catch the highlight reel.
Right. But it's because we're always thinking like, all right, I fully support this, but somebody else is going to be the one that steps forward and does the thing, and then I'll be able to support them doing the thing.
It's like if we're all on the island, right? Some people will speak and rise up, and some of us are happy to have that happen because it's not as much pressure to decide, right? Right. You know, and majority-wise, we probably do all want the same thing, but
we're going to go about it differently.
Yeah, we're going to go about it differently. Yeah. And the majority of us, that is probably the largest crowd, is also then passing over a lot of potential power to be harnessed by a few individuals who are way more passionate about it. Yeah. But that's not what's waking us up every day, is the need to try and change all that. I mean, again, we're just obsessed with other stuff. We've got slightly different obsession, or the obsessions have us.
Right. And then the
Yeah.
majority of the time that those people are really passionate about things, like
Yeah.
they don't have the mindset of making this a business
Yeah.
or bringing, how do we bring this to the, they don't know how to do that. Then somebody's going to come in, some super business minded person, and is like, all right, I can come snatch this up
Yeah.
and manipulate you and steal all your money and your idea and all this stuff, turn into some
And it's
huge...
not even going to cost them that much. And it might look like a lot to that person.
Right, because all they have to do is change their lives.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like money to a lot of people is an instant life changer.
Yes.
And I hate that like we're put in that situation.
We are, though. We're thrown
no
into
one should be able to hold money over it.
It's a
like,
carrot constantly, isn't it? Because it's just so necessary for everything. And even when you don't want it to rule your life, I don't care who you are right now and what class system you're a part of. $7 a gallon gas.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Is unfathomable. I saw a clip online.
People in other states are going crazy about $4 gas.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I was one of them at some point. I remember when you could go to the show and fill up the minivan with equipment, and you know, it was like $18 or something.
That's
like,
crazy.
For the whole thing, it was
that's crazy.
$224 was kind of high. Like
we got the double whammy. Like the prices went up, and like the currency's worth less.
Yeah.
So
at the same time.
Yeah, it's wild.
At the same time.
I think like the dominance is about to switch.
It feels like it might have happened and we just don't know it yet.
Yeah. I feel like you know, like when you look back in history and it's like this was the fall of this.
Yeah, the fall of Rome or whatever. Like,
I feel like this is
the people got the power back already. We just didn't realize.
This is the fall. This is the fall. We're in the fall.
I think like you see it happen on the corporation schedule, and you know, Netflix and all these companies that are sort of big but in the background are not right in front of us until there's news afoot. And the headlines for everyone watching right now is not as much money last quarter for the second quarter in a row, and before 200,000 subscribers lost, now it's more than 1 million subscribers lost, and all this stuff. Like, you know, at some point we don't need it anymore. There's been plenty of things they've taken away from us, or we've lost over time, and we survive without all those things, and some of it just like ends up, you know, on the trophy shelf. And I'm down with that too. I think maybe like we've all got so much less reliance on these things than we think that we do, and maybe they're all starting to know that a bit, because they see the dashboard and they see it, the drop off. Yeah, they broke it. They had a good thing going, man, and they took it all.
It's like, this is good money. Now everyone do it. So it's like, it's like, all right, you went from like having like, okay, here's the internet video option. Now everyone has a subscription. You got to have like 8 different subscriptions.
All of them. You're just paying cable now, and we stopped paying cable for a while for another reason.
And now people are just like, all right, well, I'm not paying nothing. I don't want to do it no more.
Yeah, and there always be another way. There'll always be a new format, I guess, like you were saying before. It's just, what is that gonna be next? It's bizarre to think about. I love the stem player. I just, again, it's like, what's even farther than that? What's because all these things are physical items, but what they're selling is the ability to do audio on. So it's just like, it's cool. How can it just be the audio? Right. Without it being live, of course. Like,
the thing with the stem player for me, it's a great idea. Just didn't have to cost that much.
You got one? Sada got one. Or he ordered one. I don't know if he got it yet.
I might get one at some point, because like the plan is to have it be a platform where you got specific releases that come out on it.
It'd be interesting to load some stuff in and see.
But what in reality what it's doing, we've already been able to do.
Definitely.
You know, like to separate the stuff, but having it in a product, that is pretty cool. If they could expand how many songs you could have on it, and expand like people start releasing like specific only stem player albums, then I'm all for it.
Does it upset you though if it's not a choice? Does it upset you that right now some of your biggest fans, who've probably again just been listening or consuming or purchasing your art and content in various formats over many years now. If it's not an album that you chose for the stems to be available, you know, there's like drag and drop AIs on the internet that will sort of split your stuff up. I mean, do you mind that people are sort of dissecting your art now on that level, like
I feel
on a
like that's
microscopic
fine.
level? Yeah,
I feel like that's fine.
Yeah.
Like if you're, it's an adjustment. You know, like with this goes back to that like the just having the ability to do something, right? So like from my perspective, and like for better or for worse, because there's a lot of stuff that I wish like it was mixed different and whatever.
Yeah.
So if somebody has the ability to isolate sound, post the song coming out, then somebody's gonna be able to do it. So you got to be okay with that happening. Like you got to be okay with that happening. Just like if you release a song, like you got to be okay with every word that you release being a public
more
thing
than ever now.
say.
Yeah,
you know,
more than ever now.
I don't think that people should judge lyrics so much without understanding the context. Or understanding like the point.
Yeah, I completely agree, and I'm not
art
sure. Yeah, I mean, there's been sort of different times throughout history where sometimes that's admissible in court and sometimes it's not, right? If it's a lyric, it's not necessarily a confession.
Yeah, I think so. Because it's still,
you know, we're eccentric artists. Like, I wouldn't say we're like acting in what we're making, but there is a lot of there's so much charisma, and you know, the same way someone's getting recorded in a movie, right? We're doing that, and especially when it's a feature or something else. It's not your swimming pool, like it's you're having to do a lot of stuff in just the voice.
It's our job to make people feel. It's to create an experience. Like we have an idea or we tell a story, but then like we make that story a memorable moment for people. You know, like the beauty of making music is that people make life moments to these songs. You know, to us, it's just like, okay, yeah, we're just putting out stuff, you know, whatever. But like when people listen to stuff, like this might be their first time doing this activity, and this is the song that they were listening to, and they're going to remember that for their entire life.
It's going to be a trigger for forever that they can't control, and one day they'll be in a diner and a jukebox will be selected by someone or whatever we're using, I guess, at the time to put the song on, because the song's going to come on, and that's just like make you feel whether you want to or not. It's going to be forced to relive that.
And there's not a lot of other mediums outside of art. I feel like artistic things in general, you
can escape them unless you're sitting there to use it, and music is everywhere. Yogurt commercials, and you're shopping at the mall or the supermarket. The supermarket's always playing everything like 10 years before.
Some of them be bangers though.
Some of them are bangers.
But it's definitely specific music to make you feel like shopping.
Yes, definitely.
You know, get some shopping lyrics or something that gets you think about buying something or some memory at the park or something, you know.
What's your favorite environment to hear your own work in?
I don't think I've been in the environment where my music needs to be played yet. Amazing. Because I think my music should be played in churches.
Wow, I wasn't expecting that.
I really love like cathedrals and like the shape and the acoustics and everything.
Exactly.
And I feel like if possible to do like a church tour of
it's definitely possible.
Like, because these are religious experiences.
Yeah,
to me,
but they're also just like incredible structures that are capable of a lot, regardless of the belief that's housed there.
Right. And then religion could be whatever. I feel like it's just like a passionate belief in something
definitely
beyond.
And anything that's bringing people together is a good thing. As long as it's not harming anyone. And, you know, again, some of these places, old and new, have facilities that are only existing in that facility.
Right.
And I think opening that up to more people is better. Like, it shouldn't just be for one set of everyone's anyway, right?
Yeah.
So
a lot of things are like privatized though.
Everything now,
all the cool stuff is privatized. You know,
I wish like we had been a little bit earlier, a little bit older, a little bit richer before it, to have just been able to scoop up a couple things to make sure they're preserved and protected. Because again, so much shit's just been recycled and sold back to us again, and
it's funny. Like, it's funny. And then being an artist, you kind of see the trends a little bit before, and it's like, dang, but I don't have the money to do the thing. But
yeah,
it's funny.
It's hard to make even just the smallest change because again, you need the money to do so.
Yeah, the systems are definitely in play either way.
Yeah,
like you're dependent on, like even if you don't feel like you want to participate, you have to participate in order to achieve any kind of stability in what you're doing, or to give it a chance of reaching people. Yeah, because it's like, all right, I don't want to do this, but then do you want people to hear your music? The world has changed.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, again, if they want to,
right? But you still got to participate at a certain level to have it. Yeah. On the platforms that people.
Oh, absolutely.
To give people the option. To perceive it. Yeah. I'm not saying do the dance.
I'd say it's like unwrittingly required, because especially if you're gonna do it with a team. The way that we're all doing it and stuff, like you are committed to again, like you said, not maybe necessarily doing the dance, but certain things like you're gonna have to do it if you're gonna create it and try and get it out there.
I feel like people really discount like all the decisions that go into being an artist.
Yeah, they have no idea
because it's
how could they though?
Right.
I don't know what it's like to be a doctor or a plumber or a fireman.
The other stuff, but like willingly, publicly going through pain or going through emotion and like for you.
Yeah.
Like at the end of the day, like you might not think it's for someone else, but you're recording the song for someone else to hear, even if it's just yourself.
Every time.
Even if it's just yourself, because I don't consider the person talking now the same person that I see in the mirror. Those are two different people.
Definitely. And that linking to from before, there's a lot of dynamic at play when an artist is making a choice to get in front of a microphone for the purpose of music. We've seen some of the best, just some of the legends show how well they can, again, just sort of like manipulate that into various different ways.
There's a craft.
Characters or things. Like,
it's definitely a craft.
It's I don't know why it affects us so much, but like you, I'm here because at 6 or 7 or 8 years old, whether it was the first time or whether it was just the first time I realized it, at some point the hair stood up on my neck from sound or art or a song or a harmony or a thing or something, and that is just like that's the biggest chase I ever been on. I'm like still here today for literally just that reason, like
because you enjoy it.
Yeah, and I just don't. Nothing else has ever made me feel
nothing solves that problem.
No,
that kind of answers what I was about to ask you, because I was about to ask you.
What were you gonna ask?
Why did you start making music?
Yeah, that feeling for sure.
It was for sure that feeling.
Yeah, definitely, because I was always like loving, like before instruments. I was like my parents were sort of like, they were still very much in a place where they would perform for the love of performing with, again, just like your community and stuff, and it wasn't so scalable, and it didn't need to tour, and it didn't need to like be sold to everybody else. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, for sure.
People started making money because
a lot,
right?
Because they had the distribution.
There was a product.
If you could get that thing now on the shelf in 1 million Walmarts,
because they tied, because the artists were already tapping into that emotion, like people fall in love with the sound. Then it's like, all right, if you tie that to a product, okay, well, this is the only way you can listen to this
and a Happy Meal.
You're right. And then but now you got something that could make money. Like now you have to tie it to other things. You can't tie the sound as the product.
Do you feel, as a parent, you're trying to shield the ways in which influence is coming from all these different directions, or are you allowing whatever's coming, knowing there isn't much you can do to sort of?
So I'm open to, like, there's a lot of stuff that like I allow my son to experience with a filter. Yeah. The way that I see it, like, kids and anyone that grew up beyond, because as we were growing up, we were introduced to all these technologies, seeing how these things work
quickly.
And as you would,
and again, it didn't matter what class or thing you would, because you're gonna go to someone's house and they're gonna have had it at some point.
Yeah, and
so whether it's in your household or not, like you just do sort of experience these things.
And that's something
like,
that we grew, that we were raised like being a part of, like
the guinea pigs.
Right, we built communities and like all these like nostalgic experiences.
Yeah.
On like the sound of like the dial-up tone. Everyone knows that feeling.
Oh my god.
Well, like people from that time period, you know the feeling of waiting, and you know what that waiting meant, right? Because if you were online, no one else could use the phone.
Yeah.
And like this was a battle. This was more than
it's
just.
It's hard to explain, and it seems weird even saying it out loud right now.
Right.
Like.
And it's like, oh, what? Because you wanted to talk to your friends.
It's just as crazy as the rotary dial on the telephone,
right?
Like, which was again just like right probably before us. Like they're all mad ways to be communicating,
right?
Like,
so I feel like it's kind of silly talking to a kid about like how that used to be, because like they're never gonna experience that. You know, you got to be open to what things will turn into,
and it's not connecting on that level obviously when they see it in a TV show or a movie or something.
I hate when people look at like okay, the fact that an iPad or a phone exists is a negative thing. It can be if you use it as like a okay, just go do this.
Agreed.
If you use it as an occupier or like a time replacement thing. You can also use it as a way of learning. It seems
to be like a pacifying device for a lot of parents, but
and
again,
it doesn't have to be.
Yeah, you're right on the money there, and it's like it's a really powerful, amazing tool that
educational
put
content
your kid ahead of a lot of other people if it's used the right way.
Educational content exists. Apps that do specific things exist. You're making the decision to like, okay, just do this. Okay, go in the corner unattended, do whatever. You know, and it's like, well, like you were on the internet growing, you know how dangerous the internet is. Why would you ever do that? You know, we get so comfortable.
I wish we could go to just right before the internet. Like everything else, technology-wise, I can see the 50-50 benefit, loss of it. But like we didn't need the internet. We were fine without it. Like,
I kind of feel like we needed the internet. I don't feel like we needed social media.
That's really what I'm trying to say. Yeah. Social media specifically is the part of the internet I'm talking about.
We need like a decentralized way of being able to have sources of information.
Yeah, I'm not saying don't be able to wirelessly talk to each other.
Right. Yeah.
I think that's mad
no
cool.
Communication.
Yeah, no, especially across the water and stuff. It'd be nice to have.
Yeah.
Do we need an internet for it? Maybe not.
Yeah, no. Yeah. It was probably the wrong way of solving that problem.
But our response to weaponizing the internet was to create social media, and we just love to weaponize everything.
You can make money off of it.
Yeah.
So when you introduce the ability to make money, that kind of messes up everything.
Yeah. Do you remember before, like, there was never a way to influence an election with it, and now it's the only way we'd have an election is with it? Like,
it's slowly that's crazy, but that kind of brings me to something else. So like you know how before, like on MySpace or whatever, we went from like friends, like they were called friends. Same with Facebook. And then now we moved to them being followers, and then like now at like
congregation,
right? But now you need a whole Discord. You need a whole community.
A Discord. Yeah, that one's scary.
You know, you need a world, and like at a certain point, that's gonna turn into like. Yeah. Like people running for elections at you know.
Yeah, that one is where I draw the line, because the conversation's happening when you're not even there. And you can't be in there all the time. No one can be.
But then like you create your character or your, you know, you
I don't want to be defined by that. Yeah. It's become so necessary to be the avatar for whatever you are selling for them.
Right,
and it's in every field.
Mm-hmm. No matter what.
Yeah, no matter what. Like, I'm not just talking about the entertainment industry. It's in every single industry now. It's in our private lives a lot. Even if people don't have accounts, or like, you know, my brother's never been on social media, but he works at Google.
You got an account.
He works at Bleep. Yeah, I mean, everyone's like involved.
But you need a Google
yeah.
email like to access the thing, and then also when you have the email, that also means that you have an account on every one of your services.
Completely. You can't even sign up for a streaming account now, probably without like giving over all your social and your identificate your address.
But now it's so accepted.
Yeah, they're like, oh, you're using our service not on this IP address? How dare you?
Yeah,
Termination of account. Sharing with your grandmother. You asshole. You sinner.
It's so weird. Like, we're kind of past the point of no return. Because like we've given like our eyes. We've given like our facial. We've given our fingerprints and everything. So it's like, all right, well. I kind of hate when this gets into the discussion of people like, oh, they'll put chips in your head. It's like, well, like, you already carry a phone.
Yeah.
There's no need to put a chip in anything. You already carry the thing freely by choice.
Completely. We started it with credit cards. That's the chip.
Right.
Like
there.
How long have we had that tracking of like how where we're going and when we were there and just like leaving a ledger?
They completely sold us on GPS.
And I still have no idea where I am. Tell me where I am.
They completely sold us on that. Yes, track me now.
I was having this conversation with someone on the way to dinner the other night, and it's like, pandemic or not only is there like one on the building, there's 12 of them in every direction of these like 5G towers on every 13, 35, 4,500 feet. And I don't just see it here. It's like I go all over the place.
Yeah.
You go into a tiny little village and it's the same thing. The stuff's everywhere. What's it doing? My phone's not working any better. It's working worse than before. I mean, we're like so many Gs now up. Like,
that's the thing.
It was good on 1G.
That's the
I remember
thing that they like. So they've, as a business, they like worldwide, they made like a business choice.
Yeah.
To invest in there's nothing wrong with the expansion of technology, right?
Sure.
But like the 5G, the version of 5G that like is necessary for these super fast speeds does not go through walls. Does not it messes up in
very short.
You need like these boxes everywhere, like you were saying, and it's like, okay, so at that point, is it worth
what's it doing it to us? Like again, we were communicating fine before. Yeah, I don't think we need it. We're just too far on all these things. We're so many generations evolved.
We're already in a blanket of frequencies. Yeah. Like there's Wi-Fi, there's cell phones, like there's everything constantly bombarding our bodies.
Stop trying to make the blender better. We're good
now. To be
connected to it doesn't need a screen on it.
Be able to check for recipes on your phone.
We don't
and
need
you gotta
to
be able to give it crypto so it can pay for its own.
It's gonna be your bank now.
That's the future. The blender's gonna be.
Got people at the border with their blender because it's their whole life.
My money's on my blender. I forgot the password.
Yeah. I don't know. Again, it's like, why are we always trying to connect these things anymore now? Whether we're a corporation or just a guy in a garage, like.
Yeah, it's a weird space. Like, I feel like it's just like curiosity. It's like, all right, we made this thing connect. How do we make everything else connect? Now, what if this was more connected? Now, what if you could just do this and this was already done? And it's like, cool, great innovation, but like, was it necessary? I feel like we spent, so the perfect example of this, there's all these campaigns of like, all right, we need to terraform Mars. And I feel like that's one of the most absurd things to me, because we need to terraform Earth.
Agree. Can we not just do it here first and prove it?
We need to solve we need to solve the problems of Earth. Because if you're gonna terraform a whole planet, that means controlling the environment of the planet. We can't control the environment here.
Can we just fix our home first?
Right.
Like, can you just fix the problems in the house first and your own relationship first?
Is sending a bunch of stuff into space and putting Earth in a big bubble. Cool, whatever. You do it. Solve the problem.
However much money it's going to take to try, it's going to take so much less to do it here first. And can we just try it first?
We can't even come together on like the protection of a planet. Like we gotta like do all this other stuff. Like I just don't get why even like climate change stuff is a debate. Now I know that like there's narratives within for sure. Like, because like the electrification of like vehicles and everything is a half step in the right direction. Yeah. Because of all the negative like environment stuff that making batteries causes, you know.
Yeah, I mean we still need combustion to make the batteries, right?
Right.
So.
Yeah.
We're
now, if we could solve that,
we're trying though. We're definitely having the right thoughts.
Right.
Now.
Yeah. Like,
but before we weren't even trying.
Right. So like, as long as there's more investment in, like, I don't feel like it should be. We should never run into like, oh, there's no money for space exploration. There's no money for figuring out environmental solutions. We got money for war. We got money for all this other stuff.
Yeah.
To help all these other countries and all this stuff.
The money's always gonna go to all that stuff before it ever comes back.
Because money hasn't been real in generations. Yeah. It's all just numbers. It's all just digits and like deposits of like value that value is very subjective.
It's like the game of Monopoly or the game of life.
Right, because once you put your money into a bank, that's an agreement for the bank to use your money for to benefit the bank.
Now everyone's making currencies. They already own the whole market, so it doesn't really matter whatever.
It's because people figured out, and that kind of goes back to the community thing. Yeah. So like now anybody can create a currency because we figured out that currency isn't tied to money.
It's amiable.
It isn't tied to like $1. It isn't tied to you just have to believe in it.
Yeah.
You know, like you build enough of it, as long as you can sell that thing to someone else. Yeah. It's a currency. As long as you can
taught people faith after all that time. That was the key.
To me, there's only a handful of things that exist, right? And they manifest them. They manifest.
If you could even prove it. Right. Yeah. No, I agree. Yeah.
Because like people like I feel like everyone has faith in something. Because I'm not a religious person at all, really. But like I get it because like in the human brain, like whatever you fully believe in, like with like passion, your world will become that. You will, like, if you believe in demons and angels and stuff, I swear you will probably be seeing demons and angels around you. Yes. You know, it's like, because that's 100%. Your world. If you want to feel like, okay, I'm not responsible for my decisions, I'm just gonna leave. I know people say this and no judgment, but like, leave it to God or leave it to like that doesn't.
No, it's beyond manifestation, right? Because you can manifest probably a lot of things into your life, like you said, just from repetition. But it will happen even if it's just mentally. Right. You will live, like you said, in the world that you create,
and you'll attract those things and those thoughts in those situations.
Yeah. There's a lot of control given over to even just like your job now and showing up every day, not just clocking in for your time.
But that's the point.
They've got you in a cage mentally for those hours as well.
That's the point, because they've sold businesses on productivity. Yeah. Because it's like now, like, okay, how do we make your workers more productive? Let's give them a mental health break. Yeah. Let's let them use the app.
That'll fix it.
Let's also monitor everything that they're doing, and let's make sure that there's all this facial technology. There's all these, like, you got to sign in for this that tracks like your keystrokes and all your stuff and like your productivity.
So much now, man.
Right.
It's crazy.
And who would like?
Why do they even need it all? Where do you keep it?
And like everything kind of it's so weird how stuff started to play out, because working from home makes so much more sense as a business for everyone. Yeah,
I think that's what they didn't anticipate when they were running the simulations of what this could do.
But for everyone, and the problem is that like it also benefits smaller people.
The most.
Right.
The most.
But also and I was talking to my mom about this.
Yeah.
And I was like, because she was saying that since people started working from home, no one technically takes breaks anymore.
Yeah.
So you kind of solve
Yeah.
the problem of like, okay, how do you get people's world to become their job? Let them do it from
Definitely.
home. Let them do it inside their environment, so that
Yeah.
then they'll just want to get it done throughout the day. Don't give them hours. Just be like, here's the project.
It's all I've ever wanted.
Right.
Is that option.
And there's an illusion of
Yeah.
everything being so relaxed, but it's like in reality now we've let this seep into your personal life, and now this becomes your world.
If you were the girl or the guy before all this, you probably were living your life like that, or you were in a position with your company or your thing, or whoever you were involved with that was giving you that schedule. But everybody else that worked on floor 12 through 1 had to show up and clock in every day, whether you were there or not. And I think that's just such a big power play that is like caged us for decades.
Right.
And
it's so
I've always been
unnecessary.
trying to do that since a young age, like
Right.
try to decide where I'm gonna work and live and what that daily routine should be like.
Yeah. I think a lot of people think artists like are sort of like anti-work. I don't
We
really have a problem
were
with working.
pretty hard. I mean, we sacrificed everything to work.
Yeah,
actually.
I meant like working,
Yeah.
doing other things that are not art.
Oh yeah.
And it's like
Yeah.
I've never been like against that. It's
Yeah.
just there's like when you do that, it doesn't give you the space to make art.
Yeah.
If there was a way that these things respected your space as an artist, it would be fine.
Yeah.
You know, it's like
Completely.
no one's saying do work, any form of work. You know, it's like, but don't discount my work as an artist as work. You know.
Well, especially it's like we don't always decide like what part of it's going to be therapeutic, and sometimes that's being in the moment of it. Sometimes that's long after it, and
True.
it might take years to even touch it again,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's out or not.
Right.
And maybe that's when it affects you, and that was now a long time ago, so it's sort of like you said, it's a weird thing that a lot of people aren't going to understand because they just are usually biting it down to the act of it and how much time that took up, whether it was like a performance or a recording session.
They take away their
how long it took to
personal
paint.
day.
Yeah, it took him 9 months to paint the one single thing, but it took a lot more than that. It took everything.
There's a lifetime that went into that.
Yeah, and also just like whatever the life sacrifices are in that moment,
Mm-hmm.
and that could be an entourage of things.
Yeah, I was talking to somebody about this like a little bit ago, but like with painting,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like an artist could like just throw a bunch of paint onto a thing. It could mean all these things,
Yeah.
and someone could just get there and just be like, "Well, this is dumb,"
Yeah,
and it's like,
and they have.
right,
Many
all the
times,
time.
yeah, for
And
a
it's
long
like,
time.
but
Yeah.
that opinion doesn't discount the emotion that went into that, and you can't. I feel like you almost can't give an opinion on art to a certain
You
extent.
can't.
You can say how you personally feel about it, but like you can't give a definite. This is this about anything.
A lot of the time, it often feels to me like the ones that are shouting the most about the art in question are the ones that can't feel it.
And they have a problem with that.
Yeah.
So like, why?
Yeah.
Why
and they get
do
it's
they
mad
do that?
to care so much,
Yeah.
But if you were standing in the gallery and you didn't understand it, and everyone else around you does, I guess it's an upsetting factor.
Yeah. Or you could just be like, okay, I didn't get it. Move on, but I guess some people can't.
Yeah, I know, but
no, I have to say something bad about it.
So crazy, it's mad.
That's stupid.
It's taking a whole
It's a
lot of your
waste of time and energy.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah, and no matter who you are, or, you're a political figure. You're clocking in and out. At the end of the day, too, you got a lot of different responsibilities,
Yeah,
even
you
more
waste
so
your
just
time
by
on that?
yourself. Yeah, come on, man. And everybody else's.
You got
Yeah.
way better time.
Yeah.
stuff to do.
Yeah.
Thought you were an important guy.
Yeah.
Or important guy.
Yeah, you're telling us
Important
that you are.
You know? You just, nope, but I got time to do this.
Yeah.
Got time to tell you how I felt about this. Like,
it's crazy because whether we've realized it or not in the moment of making it, or again years later, that part of it for us is not the reason.
right. We never know how stuff is going to be perceived.
Completely.
Which sucks.
Yeah.
Better.
Yeah.
Better
Yeah.
you know, pros and cons to it, but
Definitely.
it's just like something could mean one thing to you, and then somebody else hears it thinking that it's a whole different thing, and it means something to them.
Yeah, we're gonna have. I guess we gotta start getting used to it. We're gonna have like crowd meanings now as well. So
It's weird.
maybe we always have, and maybe we're just
Yeah.
aware more now.
I feel like it's gotten to the point where like it's the same stuff that's always existed,
Yeah.
but like now everyone's more reachable, and you're
Yeah.
kind of expected to be like, okay, but we want your opinion on this. And
We need your opinion on
Right.
this. You gotta fill out the form.
you
yeah.
made this.
Yeah.
Let me know. You know. And you know, I guess there's consequences, pros and cons to all that, but you know, I do miss like kind of the mystique of being an artist.
Definitely.
Not that you need to be mysterious, but just like it was cool trying to figure out what the artist is gonna do.
Yeah, I never needed to watch you make it.
Right.
You know, and it's
It's
cool. It's
weird.
cool to see a BTS every now and again, especially from a legend. It's definitely interesting to know a bit about people's process, but it's not why I ingest the content or
just
care
weird.
about the
It
content.
doesn't make it less important to me.
No,
but
it makes it
just-
less in some cases. Like I don't
Yeah.
want to meet every hero. You know, I
I want to
don't.
see what you're doing.
Yeah, the
on
art
a
is so
regular-
separate for me. It's such a separate thing, and we can't always pick what does affect us and what doesn't, even though we're exposed to so much.
True.
You know, it's just like I just don't need to know it on that level. Some of the stuff I'd love to have the tools to find it, but beyond that, no.
Yeah,
I
like
mean,
it doesn't need. But now it's like an obligation. It's
yeah,
like
that's
expected.
what I mean. Yeah.
Everyone like, nope,
Yeah.
you gotta do it.
Yeah, there's
gotta
the
be
menu
out there
of like
showing
all the
face.
things you gotta check off on every
And
share.
It's
like,
it's so silly because if you
Yeah.
opt out of doing any of them, it's like, all right,
Yeah.
well, these people aren't gonna hear your
Yeah.
stuff. These people aren't gonna experience this, and it's like, does that matter?
well, you're already
Does it
seeing
really
like
fit?
the
guess
I don't know what sort of like gen, but you are seeing the next wave now being fashionably influenced by punk and by the 90s, and particularly like our zeitgeist culture of that time, and
Yeah,
it's never been more prevalent in what people
Right.
sort of want to be seen as. But part of that then is going to have to be the rejection. The most punk thing would be the rejection of all this
Yeah.
stuff that we're using, and can we get there? Can we make it happen?
I feel like
I hope we do.
I feel like it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Because like we all went through it's the way I feel like about cycles and stuff, like
Yeah.
we all went through the same things, like around similar ages.
So
And
let's
those
heal
people-
from social media
Right.
together.
But those people grow up,
Yeah.
right? And then it's like, all right, well now I'm in control of these,
Yeah.
or I can, you know, and then they get the choice. They know what this is doing because you grew up in it.
Yeah.
You know, and I feel like it's the same thing with all the trends and everything that's coming back, or that started to come back. It's like, well, these are the things that we liked at that age. So now, of course, we're gonna make it cool now because
Completely.
those people are in those positions.
Yeah.
You know, but the people in the positions that also were really messed up people and manipulated people also know. They also know the same tools.
Yeah, they're in
So
the business of it. They're putting everything on the line for it.
So they're going to use those.
Yeah.
Like, we got to accept all of the realities of that. You know, and just like now, there's people that grow up like with everything being like live streamed. I feel like at a certain point in our future, maybe they'll
Hopefully they don't want it.
Right.
Hopefully
but
they don't need it.
we got two options. Maybe there'll be like a rebellion of all this, or maybe we'll get to the point where like we have an expectation of the president to always have a live stream on in their you know, it's like
crazy.
where, because everything completely expands after a certain point.
Is it even necessary, especially if it's not making a difference?
Right.
Though?
And I don't feel
shouldn't
like
everything just
to
be to make a difference?
Right. And I don't feel like we should get to that, but a lot of stuff we moved beyond it being to make a difference, and now we've moved to it just being something to do, or it being like something. It's content.
Everything, like if we're doing these things, that's enough.
Right.
Yeah.
Like it's like everything is just content, and it's something for you to take in. You know, your music is content. Your image is content. Everything is content, and then you need to make something else tomorrow.
I'm so bored of it.
But it's kind of silly because like I get it as a consumer, but then like certain types of content, if you're gonna boil everything down to content, certain types of content take a lot more to make. You can't equate making a whole album to the same as posting a picture. And it's that same moment. We as artists also have to accept that to somebody else, it's that moment. It's like, oh, I like this picture. I also like this album. You know, like it's the same kind of like.
Yeah.
You know, like they might not be attached to it that way.
And that's the thing. The album is still very much such like a cool box to go in and out of, and we haven't. Like the album's not dead. We haven't like seen the end of that as a space, and or the effectiveness that an album can cause. And it's just like, I don't think it matters on the format at that point then, or how it's, you know.
Because it's an experience.
Yeah, the experience, again, is just the audio at the end of the day. We're just different ways to ingest the audio, but the experience and the message is bigger.
Right, and I think a lot of people